this happens in compositing. So I have decided to leave it this way and not make an adjustment to it before it was put on the project. Because all the time in compositing you'll often get layers that are not actually quite perfect, but it's your job as a compositor to go in and basically make adjustments to it to make it work. So what I'm going to do is I unlinked the scale properties so that I can scale the Y separate from the X. And I've already tested this out and know that 106 is a pretty good size. I don't need to scale it or move it up or down in any direction. Just need to scale the Y to 106%. So now you can see it goes all the way down to the bottom. And then finally, let's go ahead and put our blending mode so that we just keep the reflection and get rid of all the overlay of black color that we're getting on the car. So again, if we want to keep the light areas, we can use add. If we want to keep the light areas and get rid of the darks, we can use add or screen. If I were to use add, it kind of gives me a little bit too much of the whites, so I'm going to go ahead and use screen, which gives me just a slightly softened version of that. Okay, so it looks pretty good. Once again, I might need to tone down the reflection because the car looks a little bit too shiny for this particular shot. So I'm going to bring down the opacity, something that's a little more believable. Maybe something around 70, 75, something like that. And now our car's looking pretty good. Okay, so this is the time you'll want to take to go back through, make adjustments to your particular composite. If you feel that it's too shiny, perhaps the specular is too bright, so maybe we can bring that specularity down a little bit. Might just be a little bit too highlighted, considering it's in the shadow. It wouldn't make sense for the highlights to be as bright as they are. So we might need to bring this down maybe to like 50%, so we just get a slight highlight, but not something so harsh. You can also bring up or bring down the reflection, but the most powerful tool here by having these separated is the fact that you can take the diffuse layer, go to your color correction tools, and under hue and saturation, you can actually in real time adjust the color of this car. So if you don't like the red, you can do maybe something purple, blue, green, yellow, and you can also adjust the saturation. How bright or how dark is this? You can also adjust the lightness, the darkness, whatever you feel is going to make this more appropriate. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it to the red color, but maybe I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this hue and saturation because I actually like the color of it. But one thing I am seeing is that my backplate is a little bit desaturated in comparison to my car. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'll go to the color correction tools, hue and saturation, just bring up my saturation levels a little bit so the background's a little bit more vibrant. It feels like it's matching my car a little bit better. Okay, so we're almost done. The last thing that we got to think about here is the fact that for 3D we don't have this actual space created. So what we're seeing is the car actually coming down the road and then back up. However, we need to create a mask that will basically create an area over this bush and this railing here that will hide the car before it actually comes around the bend. So an easy way to do this is to just go ahead and take your backplate layer and duplicate it. I'm going to go ahead and just rename it foreground and put it as the top layer in my timeline. Now what happens is it looks like it's going to hide my car, but that's because I haven't completely finished creating my mask yet. So using the pen tool, I'm just going to create a loose mask. Again, my car only passes over this area, so this is the area that I'm most concerned with making that mask looking correct. So I'll just start very loose at the top and then get a little more defined in the railing, and then again get really loose with my mask because I don't need it to be perfect in this area. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so I can make sure that my mask is as tight around that shape as I can possibly get. can use my convert vertex tool to get some roundness out of this shape here. And I'm not as concerned about this area as well. Mainly just wanted to be pretty sharp around here. Alright, so let's zoom out and see how decent it looks. I'll deselect the layer. And the other thing here, as you can see, oops, it looks like my layer is actually hiding everything on the inside and showing everything on the outside. So that means I need to set my mask to subtract instead of add. So I'm going to press M on the keyboard to open up my mask properties. You can see here I have add. I'm going to set it to subtract. So now I should get everything on the inside of that mask will show up and everything on the outside will be hidden. So it looks as though my car passes from behind the railing and the bushes and comes into frame. Alright, that's the end of the tutorial. Best of luck, and again, once you've got everything composited in, just go back through and really scrutinize every frame, make sure everything looks great, scrutinize the color levels of the saturation of the background to the car, look at how strong your specularity looks, if your car is too shiny or not shiny enough, whether the shadows match up with the shadows of the realistic car, and then also think about whether or not you like the color of the car as well. Alright, best of luck.